So, they pant, verse 7, after the dust of the earth, which is on the head of the poor, and pervert the way of the humble. A man and his father go into the same girl to defile my holy name. Now listen to this. This is like the worst thing you can imagine. It's like, what's worse than your dad and you having sex with the same lady in the same night? Well, they lay down by every altar on clothes. Every altar, okay? They're doing this like in holy places, or fake holy places, which is probably even worse. By every altar on clothes taken in a pledge, and drink the wine of the condemned in the house of their God. Guys, do you know what it means to lay down? They're laying down on clothes taken in a pledge. When someone was so poor in Israel, God gave them this kind of this law that said, look, if you're a poor person, you can't pay back your debt, you can offer your cloak and offer your clothes and say, I'll give you my coat. Just let me go make some more money and I'll come back and pay my debt. These dudes, father and son, are having sex with a prostitute or somebody on a coat taken in a poor man's pledge. Now it's like, what is wrong with you people? I mean, it's like evil upon evil, inventing new ways of evil. Let's keep going here. Yet it was I who destroyed the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars. Listen, God is then starting to cry out, I did all this. And he was as strong as an oak. Yet I destroyed his fruit above, and his roots beneath. Also it was I who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. He's going all the way back, guys. And led you 40 years through the wilderness to possess the land of the Amorite. And raised up some of your sons as prophets, and some of your young men as Nazarites, holy men dedicated to the Lord. Is it not so, O you children of Israel? Says the Lord. And you can hear God getting upset here. He's emotionally offended. The bride and his special treasure that he sees as Israel here, his betrothed people, are just forgetting him, forsaking him, and doing these awful things. But you gave, listen to this, Nazarites, people that took a Nazarite vow, were setting themselves pure and holy before the Lord as a vow. Like, I'm vowing myself to the Lord to be pure and holy. For a lot of times it would be a year. I think some for a long time. And what they did, they didn't drink wine. They were called not to drink wine during that period. Listen to this. But you gave the Nazarites wine to drink, and commanded the prophets, saying, do not prophesy. And I'm sure that rang a bell with Amos going, yeah, I'm getting ready to experience that. Because right now, when he's saying this, his popularity points were, going down the drain. Behold, I am weighed down by you, as a cart full of sheaves is weighed down. Therefore flight shall perish from the swift. The strong shall not strengthen his power, nor shall the mighty deliver himself. He shall not stand who handles the bow. The swift of foot shall not escape, nor shall he who rides a horse deliver himself. The most courageous man of might shall flee naked in that day. God's like, nowhere to run to, baby. Nowhere to hide. I need to deal with you. I'm done. I'm weighed down. Listen to this. God himself saying to his people that he loves, I'm weighed down by you. You are a burden. That's interesting. A guy named Burden was running around going, God says you're burdening him. Stop weighing him down. Now let's continue on here. Chapter 3 gets even more, into this. He then starts crying out against Israel. And Israel was way worse, you guys, than even Jerusalem. Israel's capital was Samaria. Do you guys remember Samaria from the New Testament? The woman at the well? She says, my fathers say we're supposed to worship on this hill, but you Jews minister in Jerusalem, or worship in Jerusalem. Who's right here? And Jesus is like, look, man, time is coming and now is. You gotta worship in spirit and truth, all right? It's not about where you worship. She missed the point completely. But you guys know, we talked about this in the book of Joel study, and maybe even Hosea, that there was this false Bethel, and I can't remember the name of the other town, but Bethel and another town in the northern kingdom had false temple worship set up with a false priesthood and all this falsity set up so they could worship God in their own way. And the northern tribes didn't want pilgrims from their tribes going down to Jerusalem to worship God in the prescribed manner with the prescribed priesthood, with the prescribed sacrifice. The kings in the north were so crooked and so evil, wrong, and set on their own ways that they didn't want people to do that. So they set this up in Bethel, and you're going to see later the guy who comes against Amos that I talked about earlier, Amaziah, the priest of Bethel. You're going to see him going, you know what, King Jeroboam, don't listen to this guy. He's just a blankety blank. He doesn't know anything. Look at him. He's not even, I mean, look, he's wearing Carhartts, a flannel, and work boots. I mean, come on. You know. And we're going to see in chapter 7 that Amos does the biblical equivalent of ripping him a new one and just blasting the dude, and prescribes one of the worst personal prophecies to a man in all of the Old Testament. So you're going to see that this is wrong, okay? Samaria is filled with wrongness. They're off-center bad, okay? Judah is forgetting about things, and they've still got the real temple and the real priests and all this stuff. And it's like, why are they forgetting this? But Israel's just even further down. Listen to this. Hear the word, chapter 3. Hear the word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land. Now, okay, whole family. The whole family. So Judah's got to listen to this too. Okay? Judah didn't just get a get-out-of-jail-free card and go, whew, now he's prophesying against Israel. Thank God. Right? I mean, what was that all about? You know? Because, I mean, that was weird. Right? And then people are just like, dude, that's bad. It's crazy. Verse 2, you only have I known, you people only have I known, of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Can two walk together unless they are agreed? That verse is used most of the time when I've heard it quoted to exemplify from the Old Testament a term of marriage. Two people looking to get married cannot walk together unless they are agreed. And that's a lover's lament, you guys. Okay? God, the God of Hosea, that we saw in Hosea, the God that was brokenhearted because his lover had left him and went a-whoring after other gods. Remember when we talked about that? That God here is saying, how can we even walk together? You're not agreed with anything I want you to do. You're not agreed with anything I have for you. You're despising my gifts, despising my name, despising my law and my commandments. How can we walk together unless we're agreed? Will a lion roar in the forest when he has no prey? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he hasn't caught anything? Will a bird fall into a snare on the earth where there is no trap for it? Will a snare spring up from the earth if it has caught nothing? Uh-oh, here we go again. If a trumpet is blown in a city, will not the people be afraid? If there is calamity in a city, will not the Lord have done it? That is a scary statement, because we all know how much we did not want people to get up in front of everybody and say during Katrina or during 9/11 or during massive tornadoes or something, to say, maybe it's because we're sinning. Maybe it's because New York and New Orleans had a whole lot of sin in them. But that's just a reflection of our country, and it's a reflection of our church. We have terrible apostasy, or walking away from, and hardness and stiff-neckedness to the Lord, because in our country, because we have it in our church body and in ourselves. Okay? Again, I quoted this a bunch of times, Jacob Prash, you have jerks in the pulpit because you have jerks in the White House because you have jerks in the pulpit. Okay? It's a trickle-down effect. When the church is not doing what they're doing correctly, the nation and the land itself is going to cry out against us. Why do you think all these natural disasters? 2 years before an earthquake, why do you think that earthquake happened? Josephus says it's because one of the kings thought so highly of himself, he was going to go act like a priest, and God said, leprosy, earthquake, no. You will not forsake me anymore. Stop it. Quit running out into the road. You run out the road again, I'm going to wring your neck. That's what we say to our kids, right? I mean, I don't want my kids to get hit by a car. I might yell at them if they try to get hit by a car. I don't want that to happen. And so you see, God is just this, he's a lover lamenting, he's a father lamenting over his kids. He's like, why? You don't need to do this. So